Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to wait a few minutes, making sure the technology is getting caught up to the various platforms which we are on today. It has been a hot minute since I have done a masterclass or a LinkedIn Live. And what's kind of fun actually about this timing of this and my next book, which launches soon, and some of the previous LinkedIn Lives I've done is we have a collection on YouTube, a whole playlist of about 20 interviews that were all LinkedIn Lives with very successful sales leaders. And that really revolved around their experience of going from the sales leaderboard into leadership. And so I think that it's kind of fun that we're back, doing this and having fun while doing it. So just let me make sure that we're live here on LinkedIn. I'm so excited to be going through this with you, for those of you who are going to join us live and those who will watch the replay. But I will be giving you actionable things today about how to be successful in your first sales leadership role that you can even apply to this afternoon. And so we're just going to make sure we're all lined up here. If you have a question for me that I don't get to during this, please just email me at rebecca@riseupconsultinggroup.com. I'm not always sure if I can see the comments, and but we'll make sure that it gets answered, because if you take the time to watch this video, you are intent on either being more successful yourself as a sales leader, or you are empowering people around you to be successful. We want to make sure that that you do that. And I am not 100% sure if we are actually live. Isn't that crazy? I may just be talking to myself. That may be what's actually going on right now. Okay, here's what we're going to do, though. We're just going to roll with it. It says we're on LinkedIn, and it says that we are on YouTube. So let's commence here. And I will be toggling back and forth between my few monitors here to make sure that we have it all set up. But I am so excited to take a few pieces today and my next masterclass on September 19th from theories from my next book, Leaderboard to Leadership, which publishes in 10 days on September 20th. I am so incredibly grateful for those who have helped and contributed to it. And this masterclass just gives you early access to some of that. I want to explain how the book came to be, what it discusses, and who it's for. I always enjoyed being a sales leader more than being in sales. I got my sales start when I was 19 years old in door-to-door sales, became a manager. I spent 15 years in direct sales, building teams, and just really found more fulfillment in being a leader than a salesperson. I loved to see them rise up and become even more successful than I ever was in sales. And then I launched my consulting company, Rise Up Consulting, about 6 years ago, and realized early that new sales leaders I had been coaching at the time had same questions. They had similar motivations, and they had consistent challenges. And I was having these same conversations really over and over with them. The more I dug into how I could help them better, the more I realized that everyone is ignoring emerging sales leaders, not intentionally, but it's because of the status quo, which we'll get into a little bit here today and how to crush that to be more successful. But I call the emerging sales leaders the forgotten middle children of the sales world. I am the middle child of 7 children of a very large family. And so I think I have an extra tune to what gets noticed, right? And the journey we all have. And so what I did for this book, for this masterclass, is I started to collect piles of content that we've been creating for the past 5 years, blogs, newsletters, master classes like this, group coaching, research, conversation, interviews, all of that to create the book. And I'm going to give you a preview of some of those topics today. The ultimate goal is that individuals can read this and reference it as they're getting ready to throw their hat into the sales leadership interview ring, if you could say that, for experienced leaders to go back and say, I think I missed that. And then organizations to use it as the complement to all of their sales leadership development. So right now we have bulk sales going on for organizations. So if you fall in that tab where you are someone who has large numbers of sales leaders that you want to make sure that you're setting them up for success, and think that a $25 book is a really inexpensive alternative to other things, you can reach out to me for that. And you can check out our website as well under our resources tab, riseupconsultinggroup.com/resources. I'm going to reference several of those free resources that everyone can get, regardless if you buy a copy of the book or not. I'm so incredibly grateful for everyone who's read the book already. We've had, you'll see on that page as well, some just meaningful testimonials of some very successful executives that read the book and had things to say about it. But let's talk about what you came here for today. Salespeople are busy, so are sales leaders, and you don't have time for 30 minutes of fluff. I've already spent 5 minutes sort of talking about my excitement here, so I appreciate you giving me some grace to speak about this, because I'm incredibly proud of it. But you need the meat and potatoes. I worked with a sales leader who was in charge of about $100 million in revenue, and it keeps going up. And in our coaching sessions, as he joined some of the sales leaders at his organization, I had created a sales leadership development platform for them. And he'd say, Rebecca, give me the meat and potatoes. So I'm going to give you the meat and potatoes. This masterclass is about how to set new sales leaders up for success. And again, you don't have to be a new sales leader. You might be an experienced one, and you just missed out on the proper training. 80% of sales leaders are given zero training once they are promoted. We did a survey and found that those results were fascinating. You can get our Leaderboard of Leadership survey results on that resources page as well, and kind of look through and say, what are the top challenges for sales leaders? How can we support them? How can you, if you're looking at this for yourself, what can you get ahead of the curve on to be more successful before you get there? So I promised you actionable items from this afternoon. We're going to cover 3 things today. And then after each of the sections, I'll give you a tool that you can access and use this afternoon and continue your sales leadership development journey. So today we're going to talk about 3 things. Number 1, success principles to earn your first sales leadership promotion, to actually earn it, because the selection process doesn't really work. And how you prepare yourself to get that role is really important. Number 2, how to manage your time and energy as you make that transition. So being prepared for how both of those will shift. And then the third topic we're going to talk about today is reviewing your expectations. So that's where we're going today. And we'll get going here right now. So how to earn your first sales leadership promotion. We think that previous success predicts future success, and it doesn't. Previous behaviors and talent predict future success. So the top performing salespeople who successfully also become top sales leaders take the time to think through what they need to master in their new learning curve. Quota attaining salespeople who may not be at the top of the leaderboard, they do the same. So success comes from your behaviors. Do you understand what makes successful sales leaders? I had a client who in her first year at her company, she almost broke the rookie all-time record for sales in 1 year. I began to work with her back in 2020. and she was looking at how to move from selling to leading. And like most top performers, she wanted as much in her arsenal to work with. Top performers ask for help. Top performers have coaches. Top performers are always looking for a competitive edge. And so what she did is she took the foundation of success as a salesperson to start building her team, doing all of the work, the recruiting, the training, the onboarding, all of it. And she became a top 1% sales leader in less than a year. And there are other top salespeople like her, but there are also powerful sales leaders with potential who haven't set any sales records yet. We promote the best salespeople, those who are persistent and positive team players. Yet management still struggles with the old sales leadership selection process. The old assumption that leadership is a reward for top sales is outdated, and it's honestly not working. So we want to be strategic about empowering sales leaders to succeed right out of the gate. I want to make sure I'm not getting any questions here that I'm missing. Okay. So in order to earn your next or your first sales leadership role, you want to think through a few things. And again, we dive into these in the Leaderboard to Leadership book, but before you bring out the best in others, you really have to be able to bring the best out in yourself. Do you know what makes you successful? Have you taken credit for your immense talents and strengths? It's important to think about these things because not everyone you lead will have the same strengths. So great sales leaders are self-aware, create a path to succeed, and then guide their team to find their own path. I like to say that we treat everyone the same, but we coach them differently, and we coach them based on strengths. So that's one thing. Bring the best out in yourself before you bring out the best in others. A second way to earn the leadership role, to make you successful in that role, is to take on leadership projects before you get promoted. How can you be a leader without the title? I interviewed Colleen Hopt on one of these LinkedIn Live series for the book. And she shares a story that before she was promoted, she was known as the leader who would help rookie salespeople. She mentored them without getting paid for it, created a phenomenal reputation at her organization, and learned some critical leadership skills before she got the promotion. And because she had already set herself up as someone people could go to, that made her a shoo-in for that sales leadership promotion. The third part of this is how to earn a role and be successful there is because you're listening to this, because you don't follow the assumption that great at sales means great at leadership, you want to think through a few questions. So how are sales and sales leadership success principles the same? How are the success principles different between the two roles? What makes people successful in sales can help them in leadership. And it's also possible that what worked in sales will get in your way of being a phenomenal, great sales leader. So what do I mean by this? For example, your commitment to results in sales is a great attribute to bring with you into sales leadership. I was just having a conversation yesterday with an organizational executive between the difference between attempting and committing to a goal. The mental toughness in sales is a great thing to bring into sales leadership when you are committed to reaching a goal. On the other hand, your dedication to doing anything to help a customer may hinder you from being successful as a sales leader. What do I mean by that? In sales, the more a customer needs you, the more successful you are. The more your team needs you in a sales leadership, the less successful you are. I have a whole chapter dedicated to this and in the book, and kind of breaking through these differences and a way to, they're not absolutes, but a way for all the readers and the organizations and leaders to reflect on what that means for them. And should they bring that talent to sales leadership, or should they leave that back in sales? So this afternoon, here's a tool from this first bullet point. Here's a tool to use. I'm going to read these twice, or if you're watching the replay, you can just listen and rewind. But what makes you successful in sales? Which of those characteristics will help you in leadership? What might get in the way? What do the successful leaders at your organization possess that make them successful in your environment? So let me read those again. What makes you successful in sales? Which of those characteristics will help you in leadership? What might get in your way? And then what do the successful sales leaders at your organization possess that make them successful in your environment? The really difficult thing about sales advice or sales leadership advice is that it is completely different depending on the culture of the organization. So those questions may change if your job changes or your company changes. Okay. The second way to successfully transition from the sales to sales leadership is managing your time and energy and being prepared for how they shift. This might be one of my most passionate subjects that I speak about and write about in the book. Listen, mental health, stress, the emotional toll of leadership, especially in sales, is not something you can do without being a student of the game. I burnt out myself at 33 years old after too many hours, chasing too many extrinsic carrots, doing work in a way that didn't align with my strengths. I confused motion for meaning, and I've seen it happen to countless sales leaders along the way, and I think we all deserve better. When you know better, you do better. Time and energy are interwoven together in all of our workshops and in all of our programs because they can't be broken up. Time doesn't flex, but your energy does. And in the short time together here, I want to talk about an overview about the time and energy management. And again, this is a juggernaut of a topic. I'm not going to do it justice in the next few minutes when I discuss them. But what I hope that this does is give you a motivation or something about it intrigue you for you to do additional work and learn more about it. So number one of this time and energy piece, we need to provide training to help new sales leaders get a handle on where they should be spending their time and how they maximize their energy to be able to go all in without burning out. Sales leaders are responsible for themselves. So we're all different. We all have different breaking points, persistence levels, internal motivations, but it starts with training. So organizations should provide the environment to learn, and then leaders need to take accountability for themselves and ownership of their own time and energy management. As far as time management goes, and again, this is a big topic. You can find on our website under resources the weekly success planner for a sales leader that actually talks about time and energy. But when you look at where you're spending your time, you need to ask, what are you truly responsible for as a sales leader? That's where you should be spending your time. Identify the difference where you spend time in sales and sales leadership. I wrote a LinkedIn newsletter. It's Rise Up the Ranks is the newsletter. You can subscribe to it and find it on my profile on LinkedIn and subscribe to it. I only do one a month, so it's not overwhelming. But I did a whole newsletter on the differences of time with sales and sales leadership. And our clients have just had these aha moments on the differences between them. But if no one tells you that it's supposed to be different, how would you actually know? So you can check that out. The other thing you'll find in that weekly success planner is concepts on the energy management piece. We teach 4 types of energy when we talk about managing our energy. There's spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional energy. And you don't increase your energy by doing less. The amount of energy that you bring forth in your job is It's truly what distinguishes the very successful sales leaders from the mediocre ones. You need to bring in purpose and your why with your spiritual energy. You need to bring in your mental energy of being able to focus and working with your instincts. You have to be physically there, right? You need to get enough sleep and be healthy physically to keep up with the demands of being a sales leader. And then the emotional piece, there's so much to be said about emotional intelligence, but it is in our survey, what leaders said was one of the biggest surprises they had when they went to leadership was they weren't ready for the emotional toll of leadership. So we teach how to increase your energetic capacity to be able to get more done in the time that you have. And you have to increase that capacity by doing a little bit more and then resting. There is such a, it's not an ignorance, but there is such a negative connotation in the sales world about breaking, like just taking a break and resting. It makes you more efficient and a better leader, not less efficient. So think about how you increase your capacity, just like you're lifting weights, right? If you are on a 10-pound weight that you are bicep curling, let's say you've just started, working out, and you want to get to a 50-pound lift, as you're curling, what you do is you increase your capacity slowly but surely, and then you rest because your muscles tear and they need to recover. If you don't rest, you get hurt. And so this is so important. It's not really important in the short term. If you're gunning for a big goal, it's like, okay, but it's really important to sustainability. When you're in sales, you think in quarters. In sales leadership, you think in years. And if you want to be successful, not just once, but continually, you really need to manage your energy. So, and I'm in one of these phases right now. I'm promoting this book, right? We have a new public mini program that's going to be happening in November. There's just a lot going on, and I'm just in a season of pushing right now. But what I've done is I've scheduled a vacation in the middle of October, after the book's published, right? After it's out there, after the book launch party, after all of the thank you cards I'll be writing to amazing people who have been part of me on this journey. But I'm looking forward to that vacation. And because I know that it's there, I'm able to continue to go all in and not become overwhelmed. So what do you need to do? How can you push yourself further and then rest? Do you need to try to meditate for 5 minutes? Because that's as long as you can go to focus. Do you need to schedule a 5K? That might be something you do to work on your physical energy. Do you need to give yourself a limit for how long you're going to hold a grudge against someone, or the customer who backed out of a deal, or that salesperson who quit, that frees you up emotionally? So under this, like I said, head to our website, riseupconsultinggroup.com/resources, and download our weekly success planner for sales leaders. It is it's a one-pager, but it gives you a simple strategy to be able to maximize your time and energy. And time management is the number one struggle for new leaders. The third way to successfully move from sales to sales leadership is to review your expectations. At Rise Up Consulting, we talk nonstop about 3 different areas. We talk about mindset, behaviors, and skill sets. As I was recording the audiobook for Leaderboard to Leadership, I actually got a little annoyed with myself for how many times I had to repeat mindset, behaviors, skill sets. But it's the basics, you guys. It's the unsexy basics that make people successful. And I had an old mentor who taught me this concept. He said that if I never liked, or if I was ever unhappy with where I was in life in any capacity, I could find the answer to change in my mindset about it, my behaviors, or my skill sets. And that's why these are brought up in Leaderboard to Leadership, the book, all over the place, because they play into so many areas. It plays into coaching, it plays into hiring, to expectations, to culture. And many new leaders aren't quite sure of what the expectations are of them, which produces added stress. I like to say that confused prospects don't buy, and confused sales leaders, confused employees don't act. We recommend you have 3 expectation-focused conversations with stakeholders. The first stakeholder is yourself. What do you expect from yourself as far as your mindset as a leader? Like literally write down, this is how I'm going into here. My mindset is winning. I have conviction of how I'm going to pour into my team, not just so that they sell more, but they enjoy their life more. What behaviors do you expect of yourself in sales? We distinguish in the book between IPAs, so the income producing activities in sales, and the impact producing activities for a leader. So you need to think about how many one-on-ones are you going to have? How are you going to set up your team meetings? How will you be sending cards, or how do you show appreciation and recognition to your team? Those are all expectations you want to have with yourself. Once you get a good head start, then the other 2 expectation conversations you have are with your team and your direct manager. And so few people actually do both of those. But what does your team expect from you? How do they want you to coach them? What does your leader expect from you? Again, you want to get these aligned because that's going to make you more successful. Everyone's working in the same direction. They're all rowing together in the same boat. It is very rare to have all of those expectations aligned. But the important part of doing this right from the beginning as a sales leader is you can figure out where those issues are and get them set up. So if your expectations are very different from your direct manager, they're like, that's not why we hired you, or that's not why you were given the promotion, get them aligned. It's not a problem that they're not aligned before the conversation. It's a problem if they're not aligned after the expectation conversation. So this afternoon, tangible thing for you to do is write down your own expectations of yourself and add in your results. Sales is a results business. If you do not meet results expectations of your team, of yourself, or of your manager, you're going to be watched a little more closely. Everyone has some grace. We have a 90-day plan. I'll actually allude to this at the next Masterclass on September 19th, New Role, New Rules. I'll go in a little bit more about these expectations actually, but we actually have a plan in Leaderboard, a leadership book, on what you should be doing for your first 13 weeks to set up success. So thank you. Thank you today for joining this Masterclass. I pinch myself that I get to speak and write about these topics for my job. It is, I'm blessed that I get to do this. I hope that this actually went live. I'm going to double check on LinkedIn and YouTube. I really hope it did. I don't want to have to do the whole thing again. And if I'm missing questions and comments, I apologize. Please email me. If you liked what you heard today, or you are watching this replay, if that's even possible, if you could add your thoughts and just comment on this post for others to see. If you feel like hearing this would be important to a sales leadership team, we appreciate referrals. And finally, if you're curious about the other content on these subjects today, you want to mark your calendar for September 20th, where Leaderboard to Leadership, How to Earn and Excel in Your First Sales Leadership Role, will be available on Amazon. You can join our email list to get updates and early access to all of that. And then again, our next Masterclass will be on September 19th at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, called New Role, New Rules. And you guys, I always pride myself on being on time. It's been 30 minutes. It's like to the minute we were able to accomplish this. So I appreciate everyone joining me here today, those who are going to watch the replay. And again, I really hope that this did indeed go to LinkedIn, but have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you again soon.